you doing? I hope you're well. I'm Deanna and welcome to my channel. Today I am back with
Gay Brother Connor. I saw the comments, you wanted me.
and we have just been on our first day of the global book crawl, the Melbourne edition. This is a event that's been put on to celebrate all things books.
And indie bookstores.
Indie bookstores, and there are multiple countries involved.
Austria, Iceland, Malaysia, Mexico, America.
And it is taking place from today, which is the 21st of April, until the 27th of April. You're not going to see this until afterwards, but for the Melbourne edition, as Connor will show, we have 12 bookstores that we need to go visit and collect a stamp from. Obviously we buy books from, and we'll get to that part in a second.
It's a bit tricky today though, because in Australia it is a public holiday for Easter, so we could only go to 7 out of the 12 for Melbourne because the rest were closed. However, I do think it worked out because I was feeling good all day and I was like, so much energy, we got this. The second I walked into that last bookstore, I was like, I need to go home right now, I'm gonna pass out.
Yeah, it was a big day. So I will flick through to some B-roll. I didn't unfortunately get B-roll of the first 4 stores because I forgot to get B-roll for this video. I was posting TikToks, so my social media channels are always linked down below.
Give us a follow. Give her a follow.
If you want to go and see the videos. Day one haul.
My tote bag's over there.
So
we started where we usually do. Our home away from home, Readings Carlton. We love Readings Carlton. It's where we started our Love Your Bookshop Day as well.
Oh yes,
we go there a lot. We love it. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. So I always like in readings to find a book that I've never really heard of. That seems a little weird and wonderful. And I got Once Was Willem by M.R. Carey, and this is a dark medieval like folklore.
Oh wow.
And I read the first couple of sentences. It kind of gives that ye olde medieval feeling, and it's even got like the drop caps at the start of the sentences, so it sounds like it's going to be interesting. I don't know too much about medieval folklore apart from like...
That surprises me, because you're like medieval girl but you're also like folklore girl.
Yeah, apart from like Arthurian legends, I don't know much more. Where it's set in the 1100s, some years after the death of Christ, and England has just recently become England. And it just says, I once was Willem, rose from the dead to defeat a great evil, facing a humble village of Cossum. The words enclosed herein are true. So I think it may give like slight Beowulf vibes.
Spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, me. I got this illustrated edition of Maurice by E.M. Forster. It is illustrated by Luke Edward Hall. Now, love Maurice, one of my favourite books. It's basically considered to be like one of like the first queer classics set.
Oh, the end paper's nice.
Yeah, wait, let's show us a little. So good. So I've read Maurice a lot, and I also have read a book illustrated by Luke Edward Hall before, so it's interesting to see them together. There's quite a juxtaposition between like his more like nouveau-y, pastel-y, well like neon-y almost.
Yeah.
Scribbled art style. compared to most. I will say I am still on the look for one of like the anniversaries of the book. They released it with the epilogue, which bring that back. Bring back the epilogue. So this is adding to the collection, but
get rid of the epilogue.
Because the epilogue was never officially published, but it was for one of the anniversaries. But since then, it has not been. So I need that, but for now, I think this is fun. They also had another copy of Maurice that was like double the price. I didn't get why. There was like a forward and that was it. I was like, I'm okay. But yeah, this is what I got. And then after that, we went across to Readings Kids, which is next door. We didn't get... Oh no, you did get something.
I told myself I wasn't going to buy something from every bookstore, and I think I almost did. So my bank account's not very happy, but... They do get a sticker. I think this is cheating because this is definitely not a kid's book.
It was in the store.
But also I'm not going to fight with them, but there was some books in their YA section which was 100% adults and quite a number of new adults. So anyway, I got the next volume that I needed of Lore Olympus, which is by Rachel Smith, and this is volume 6.
It's the next one.
Yeah. Me just the mythology bookcase is over there. So this started off as a webtoons comic and looks at Hades and Persephone. I really love it because, for starters, I just adore the art style. And Olympus is like this kind of ultra modern city, and Hades is like a CEO. And the gods do travel to the mortal realm.
Wait, he's a billionaire?
Yeah, that Hades is the god of wealth as long as being the god of death.
Well, I think we should put them together. Kill him. I always get too political on your channel. I'm really trying to stop. I'm sorry, you guys. I
have read them all, and they only take me like an hour or so to read. So I might just wait until they're all released and just read them all, because I'm not 100% sure.
Well, 7 is out.
What's happening? So yeah, that's what I got from Reading Kids. Again, I don't think it's a kid's book, but I did buy it.
It's got pretty colours.
We then decided to continue on with the readings tour.
Yeah, because I mapped it out.
Yeah.
My map was perfect, but then we did have to make some alterations because, again, some stores were closed. So we did do all 4 of the readings in a row, which apparently for the challenge we only needed to go to 2. But we're going to we're going to all of them.
We should say that if you get all 9...
Yeah, so if you go to 9 of the 12, but there's like some caveats like that it's only 2 readings and 1 Mary Martin.
Yes.
Then you can enter to win 50 books. And then if you do all 12, the last bookstore you hand it to, they'll give you a free book, allegedly. And if you spend over $100, you get a tote bag, which I didn't see anyone with a tote bag.
I saw it on Mary Martin's Facebook.
But, wait, I don't know if I want to be controversial.
What has ever stopped you?
Sorry. It looked AI. The art on the website looked AI. It might not be.
Okay.
But don't you think it gives AI?
I didn't really look that closely at it. Hold on, where is it?
Like, because like this art on here is not what it looks like on their website, and their website gave AI. Again, it might not be.
It was very stylized.
Yeah, but I would like to know who the artist is, just in case.
It's very colourful and very like simplistic. Like it was almost like for Melbourne, they used the Flinders Street station, and you could clearly tell it was Flinders Street, but it was not. There was like not a lot of detail, and it was like blocked.
Yeah.
We'll put a picture.
But again, just something about it gave AI to me, which again, might not be. But because of that, I'm not too gaffed about the tote bag. So anyway, then we went to the State Library. Which
I haven't actually been into the State Library in years.
I will say, State Library, gorgeous. State Library readings, the worst readings.
Yeah.
We did not get anything there. Again,
it's moved location since I've last been, and you can clearly tell it's a pop-up.
It gives pop-up, but it's been there for like a year.
Yeah, because they've got these like weird like cage.
Yeah.
So, like, close it off. That was strange. And then we went to our favourite readings, actually. And you said Carlton.
Carlton is my favourite reading.
I love the Emporium.
Okay. She's a classy girl.
Yeah, it is. It just gives like pure class. And that's where the B-roll started.
Yeah, that's when we clocked in. After you had your shit coffee.
After I had a mouthful of my coffee, which we went there, and the last time we went there, I got what I ordered, which was I'm a little cranky today because I didn't actually finish the coffee, which was a creamy hazelnut cold brew latte.
Yeah,
and
like a shot of citrus.
Last time, it was like the most delicious coffee I'd ever had, and I've been thinking about this coffee for years. Or a year since we've been there.
Yeah.
And it had like a little orange zest.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. I don't know why the girl who was serving us was lovely.
Yeah.
Mid our order, one of the other guys was like, "You can go to lunch. Do you want anything?" And I was like, Bro, so it was already very loud in the Emporium, and she then got my order wrong because then someone interrupted
someone
her.
else made the order. First of all, they just gave you a large cold brew. And then we were like, this isn't what we ordered. So then they took back the large cold brew and then poured half of the cold brew into a small cup and then put the cream on top. And I was like, we still ordered a large. And now this isn't right. No, because
also that particular coffee only comes in one size.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Then why did they let you order a large?
That should have been my advice when she was like large. I just assumed it was a large last time. Again, I hadn't had a coffee at all this stage, and I live on caffeine. And there was no hazelnut. And they just...
it was like hazelnut cream that they whipped.
I don't think it was.
Or was it just cream that they whipped?
From what I could see, it looked like they put like... So a small... you guys know what a coffee looks like. Like a small iced latte filled with ice, half filled with cold brew, and then they just topped it with thickened cream.
Yeah. It was... I had a sip, it was ruddy. My iced latte, though, was delicious.
I never did get a coffee. Anyway.
So hard for you guys. Make sure you leave a like and a comment.
Then we went to the Emporium again.
Yeah.
What did you get?
I got On James Baldwin by Colm Toibin.
I've heard Colm Toibin before.
Yeah, so Colm is a Irish novelist who... And obviously, if you don't know, James Baldwin is a very prolific black activist, queer activist, author. So it's basically Colm like writing to, but also writing about James Baldwin. So I'm very excited to read it because they're both authors that I am familiar with. Yeah, I think it'll be very interesting to read.
Mine's very different. This was the first readings we went to that had a romance section.
Readings Carlton doesn't have a romance section?
No.
They have a section for everything.
No, it just, and it, not,
I will say Readings
I...
Carlton, it doesn't give romance. It gives like philosophy and like architecture books.
Anyway, but they have a crime section, they have an Australian lit section, they have a sci-fi section. So
because their non-fiction side of the store has so many sections.
Yeah.
So it's like cultural studies,
yeah.
which I almost bought a book and low-key kind of regret, but whatever.
So anyway, they have a very tiny romance section, which you can tell this is the only one that they do because on the back it says fiction, but they've penciled it out and it just says rom. So I got Fan Service by Rosie Dannon. I don't think I've read anything from her. Oh, she does The Roommate. I know people like The Roommate. I know they didn't like the next one.
Gag it.
But...
Sorry.
But apparently we've got a goth heroine and a actor who becomes a werewolf. I think that's all I really needed to know.
Whoa.
So
need to hear this person's take on the Teen Wolf movie because I know she's seen it. And I also have thoughts. I met Tyler Heckman this year.
Yeah.
Who is...
No, you're in the... It's in my last vlog, yeah.
We made it. Who is legally, metaphysically, spiritually, and emotionally my husband.
Yeah.
And that film, when I met him, it was so embarrassing because I didn't know what to say because I was like, he's so fucking hot. I would do anything right now. And then I didn't know what to say. So I was just like, oh, it's actually so embarrassing. I was like, while he was signing like a photo, I was like, you ate in that Teen Wolf movie, Diva. Your acting was so good. And then he was like, did you like the film? And I was like, yeah. I was like, you were so good.
The film, garbage.
But I Want to Misery Jeff Davies, the creator, so bad.
So it says, the only place small town outcast Alex fits in is on an online fan forum she built for the Arcane Files, a long-running werewolf detective show. And Devon is the lead actor who turns into a werewolf, and then the only werewolf expert he can find is Alex, the fan.
Whoa, that's actually kind of fun.
Yeah, that sounds like it's gonna be super fun. And I think the cover is just, camp as hell.
That is good. We do get different books. And I love that about us.
We do.
And then from there...
We took a break. We took a much needed break.
We took a break because the next bookstore was closed for lunch. Because I was ready to power through. But then we had to sit outside for like half an hour and it really awoken something in us. And there was an amazing busker.
Yeah, so we went to
They had a violin.
She was incredible, so we just got to listen to her, and yeah, the paperback bookstore is the next store we went to.
My description of her, if she's out there, love you queen. It was giving Australian Christine and the Queens with an electric violin. And if that's your vibe, go to Burke Street Mall. Maybe she's there.
Maybe she's there. So paperback bookstore is...
It is good. It's small. It's cramped. And it is messy.
It's pretty messy. Like, if you like a secondhand bookshop where you don't really know what you're going to find, that's the same vibe.
It's the vibe of a secondhand bookshop, except it's not.
And Paperback Bookshop will be consistently opened late. Like, I think they closed at 11 p.m. last time.
Yeah, their hours are mostly closed at 11.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just one person. But also sometimes, if you are interested in going, double check their Instagram, because it is, most of the time, it's just one person there. They do close for lunch, and oftentimes, if it's like not busy, they'll just go home. Which I love that.
That's so fair.
Like, work-life balance, all of that. So yeah, just double check if you are going, just to see if they're opened. Because it is a bit disappointing going all the way there.
But to be fair,
I don't know who's going to the city at 11:30 a.m. 11:30.
I don't know.
Just for that store.
No,
it seems
but
more like if you're there.
It's been talked about on like bookish communities. Like, how good would it be if you've like finished a series and there was a bookstore opened at like 11 p.m. so you could rush in and buy the sequel, but they don't necessarily stock like a lot of popular fiction. They had 2 shelves of sci-fi fantasy combined together. That was at the bottom.
Yeah.
And I was like,
it's a lot of lit fic.
A lot of lit fic. So they did have a whole wall dedicated to the Stella long list and short list. So that was pretty good. For non-Australians, the Stella Prize is a literary award that is gifted to, I believe it's women, but it's branched out to non-binary people as well.
Yeah.
And it's non-fiction and fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we went there, and I was not going to buy anything, and I did.
Also, we were in, like, we're polite people.
Yeah, so when we
polite.
say it's cramped, like, if you're standing at the till, you're blocking the door.
Yeah. So,
and you're also blocking the walkway of, like, 3, because they've, like, chucked bookcases in the middle of the store. So it's a bit of a rabbit one.
We went to line up, and then a woman walked in to ask about a book, which I will say, I need to know what's happening in that conversation. She was asking about a book that doesn't get published for 2 years. I want to know what's going on. And it's like an art book.
Yeah, she was looking for an art book, and then the lovely lady was not only searching their catalogue, she checked Metropolitan.
And the NGV.
And the NGV, because she knew that, like, if we don't have it, like, there might be an indie bookstore around. And then we're just kind of waiting there, like, and then we got out of people's way, and we went into this other little alcove, which is like right next to the window.
Yeah, but we could still see, and like I was making eye contact with like the shop assistant while they were asking these questions, which is also when you found a book, because we were waiting there forever. It was like 10 minutes.
And then I just hear, oh, that book's not coming out for 2 years. And I was like, how do you know it exists?
But then as soon as that person walked out, someone just appeared.
No, not even that. Because she was still serving the woman, and then this lady just appeared out of nowhere and got served. And I was like, oh, I didn't know.
I was like, maybe we need to be more assertive, but I didn't want to be rude. She really needed this book in 2 years. Like, she can't wait 2 years, and I don't blame her.
I love that she needs, in my head, she needs it for a research paper that's due in like 3 weeks. And they were like, it's coming out in 2027.
Like, call the university and be like, can I get a 2-year extension? I really need this, you guys.
She did give like art student vibes. So anyway, we waited, and then you got... which you didn't know was out yet.
Yeah, so I've been looking at this book
That was also in the new fiction section.
Yeah.
Because so with the bookstore, I should say, you can just get a cross off. So we did try hard, but I couldn't get over the categories. It was very cramped in there, and even though it wasn't super warm today, it was feeling... There was like 15 people in the space of my like living room apartment.
Yeah.
And we were about to leave and just wait to get our book stamped when we were shunted into the new release section.
I will say the new release section is like the only part of the store where you can tell what books are going on. Everywhere else is very, very confusing.
There's like a little post-it that it said like fiction A to O, and then I assumed it went around the corner, and then it said essays, and I was like, where the hell?
because like the top 2 were essays, but then it continued and then it went back. It was a lot.
But it never said fiction.
It said M.
It just said M.
So I would just assume, okay, we're up to M now.
Yeah. So that's why I was confused. I was like, that's a lot of essays.
Yeah.
Again, I'd thrown out my copy.
Yeah. Okay, so at
Paperback,
I got Blessings by Chauwe Buke Iba. I hope I pronounced that right. I did make Diana pause it so I could look it up. Just so I didn't want to like get it wrong or be offensive, but I'm very excited for this book. It may have come out previously, but my favourite bookstore in Sydney, which, if we're in Sydney, it was on the list. And also Sydney, they only had to go to 2 bookstores to enter the 50. We have to go to 9. It's because they're all closer, but the Bookshop Darlinghurst, shout out, is like a queer-owned bookstore. And pretty much like once a week, I will go on to see like what's being released. So I do find it hard, because I only read queer books, to find books in bookstores, just like organically.
Yeah,
so most of the time, I'm like looking for books that I've seen online.
Yes.
So it may have come out yet, and this was the first time I'd seen it in store, but I am very excited. It's basically about this young man who his family find him intimate with another man and send him away to a Christian boarding school. Oh. So I am very excited to read this. I love the cover, absolutely stunning. And what did you get, my love?
I picked up The Ministry of Time by Kalani Bradley, and I've been seeing this around. I think this was published like 1 or 2 years ago, and it's been around everywhere. I know it was Dimmick's Book of the Year. It's been on the Goodreads Choice Awards, and I know people's complaint about it is that it seems to be doing too many things at once.
What happened to trying things, you know?
But my brief idea is that if you like the Loki TV show, it gives this vibes. So we're following a civil servant who works at a mysterious government ministry whose job is to gather expats from across history. So they pluck them out of history right before they're going to die to test whether time travel is feasible. And they end up grabbing a former Victorian polar explorer, and then they go on an adventure. I think there is a romance thrown in. But I kind of love the concept of time travel, and it is also giving Loki, but also Umbrella Academy with like the government ministry who's in charge of time travel. So I thought, why not? And it was there, and we were book shopping today.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And we got paperbacks. There was one shelf of like new release hardbacks, and some of them weren't new. So I think that's just where they banish the hardbacks they get sent.
I was like, oh, hardbacks in the paperback.
Yeah. And next up was our Ye Old Faithful, Dimmick on Collins Street, which they had something fun. They had like a scavenger hunt. So around the store there was like different boards with like keys to solve the letters. So
these were the only store that had a deal for the day. But you had to complete the 5 scavenger hunt questions to get the 20%.
So it would be like, what country reads the most books, blah, blah, and then they would have like a puzzle, and then it would have like a key next to it where
also,
like
shout out.
A smiley face meant like an A, and then you'd fill it out, and once you filled it out, showed it to them, they gave you 20%.
Shout out to the woman who we got so excited that we could get 20% off, and we picked up the card and we were like, yes. I was like, how are we going to find the clues? And she just was like, pointed at the sandwich board.
Right in front of us. And we were like, looking around like, oh my God.
Because I said, how are we going to find the clues? And she just kind of smiled at us. And
I thought they would be tiny.
Yeah.
But they were just big old, like, massive, like, A2, like, boards.
So what we did was we grabbed our little ticket and our pencil. And we tried to find all the...
Yeah, so we did that first, just so it was done, and then we could just, like,
we struggled to find the one in the travel section, because I've never been to the
who goes to the travel section? And it's massive.
Also, we got so distracted by trying to decode that we get the answer straight away, and then I was like, what was the question? And then I'd look up, like, in the travel section, I was like, we got the first through, and I was like, it's Agatha Christie, and I was like, wait, what is the...
And then I believe I'm dyslexic but can't afford the test, so I was struggling with, I'd be like, oh, like, it's Agatha Christie, oh, it's like Don Quixote, and I was like, how do I spell that? But then I couldn't focus on, like, the key, because I was like, I already know what the answer is. So I made Diana check mine at the end to be like, did I get it right?
So then...
Though I don't think they really checked. She was just like, yeah, you finished it. Stamp.
My guy was like, yep, done, and threw it in like a tub, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I wanted to keep it.
So anyway, we split up. Unfortunately, they did put a sandwich board right in front
of the one gay section. I was like, have we not given enough? But I did manage to find something there.
And then I toddled off to the romance section where I found what I could only describe as 13-year-olds trapped in the bodies of 28-year-old men who picked up a copy of Hunting Adeline and were giggling while reading it, and I had to scoot past them because they've now got the romance section, but they have on the end of the erotica section, and they've moved it. Okay. And I was like, grow up.
Yeah, boo-hoo, move on.
Hunting Adeline is not an entry-level book for anybody.
No.
Anyway,
so I got The Love That Dares, which is a anthology of love letters. Also, is that an Oscar Wilde reference?
Possibly.
I love that dare not speak its name.
I feel like a lot of queer stuff would reference
It's always Oscar Wilde. Them damn trials. I even mentioned him in my fucking thesis. I did it too. I'm part of the problem. Again, shout out to Miss
Oscar Wilde.
Oscar Wilde.
The original.
Yeah, the original diva. So yeah, it's just a collection of different love letters throughout the ages. So I thought that was sweet. And then, okay, once a book crawl, I need to get a secret shame.
I don't think you should be shamed.
So my new one is My Dearest Patrolman Part 1. Which, is he a cop? Boo. But is he hot? Slay. But he's gay. Still bad. I shouldn't have bought this. Like, porn's one thing, but cop propaganda porn is too Slay, part 1 of 3. We'll see you next time. What'd you get?
We'll stick on I also got 2 books, and we'll stick on the Oscar Wilde train. And I got Charming Devil by Rebecca Kenny. And this is the second book in, I don't know what this series is called, but she's been retelling like classics. The first one was The Great Gatsby. This one is Picture of Dorian Gray with
Slay.
vampires.
Picture of Dorian Gay, am I right?
I mean, I hope it says
Sorry.
Baz, but I don't know if Baz is
Basil.
or it's a girl. I would hope it's queer in some regard, but I do enjoy the idea of this.
You enjoy straight people, you can say it.
Then
We
I-
sure do have a lot of laugh.
Then I got this.
Can you tell that I'm the younger brother, by the way?
Yes, everyone can tell. Then I got This Monster of Mine by Shalini
What if I'm the monster?
Abby Sakara.
She's done with me, young.
And all I know is that this was on like my anticipated releases because it's a romantasy inspired by ancient Rome. And I've noticed in the last 6 to 8 months, we're getting a lot more romantasy that is using Greek mythology or set in ancient settings. So,
and then our final bookstore for the day, which, shout out, Famous, they posted you and me.
yes.
Also, I was posted all over Book Haul Australia because I was in the videos, not her. As the face of Book Haul Australia, I'd like to thank everybody who participated.
When we had our forced break in Burke Street, I checked my stories because I've been posting a lot and noticed that Mary Martin had reshared and was like, can't wait to see you.
Yeah.
So we had to buy a book.
We sure did. I did expect a bit more fanfare when we walked in, you know.
You were expecting applause.
I was a carpet at least, but
Yeah.
we just got some somewhat understocked shelves, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Selling books. But what did you get?
I got Hera by Jennifer Saint, and this is the only retelling book I've ever seen that's based on Hera. Hera obviously famously is the wife of Zeus, also sister of Zeus, and she was the reason why Hercules went crazy, killed his family, and he had to do, or Heracles had to do his trials. So very interested to
And
see.
I'm team her, low key.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Very interested to see more about, like, I hope it's...
If I was married to
More about
Zeus, I would have killed everyone.
She's also the queen of the gods and the goddess of marriage, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she needed to be the queen of prenup so she could set herself up for her own life post Zeus.
Zeus.
I got Our Evenings by Alan Hollinghurst. I read a few of his books. So this is about Dave, shout out, who is half Burmese. And it's set, I think, like, turn of the century. It's like 1913-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Titanic.
Yeah. Like this wealthy family sponsors him for this like rich school and he ends up living with them. And it's basically about like his life and like how it's interconnected with all these rich people. Sounds interesting. And again, we had to support our besties, Mary Martin.
Yeah, so that's the 2 books we got. So all up, a successful day. Let me try and grab them.
Let's do the little stack, you guys. It's actually, we got a lot. We can't do as much next time, I fear.
No, look on Mum's face. It's just...
Oh yeah, our mum is here. Say hi, Mum.
Hi, Mum. She's judging. I feel she's judging us on
Yeah.
Twitter.
These are our books. How many did we get in total? I got 6.
Mum's eyebrows are like through the roof. I got 7.
And we went to 7 stores.
Yeah. So yes, we are going back on Saturday to finish off the last loot and to get the 12 stamps to get our free book.
Yeah, so we still have another Mary Martin's.
Yep.
Amplify, which we're both very excited to go to. I have bought from Amplify a couple times, but this was before they had their pop-up. So if you're in Melbourne, I do recommend going to there.
So Amplify is an indie store which focuses on people of colour and minority.
Yeah, so all of the authors are POC.
Yep.
And then we're going to Books for Cooks, which I'm sure it's a lovely store. I do
You've said that
doubt.
name wrong 100 times.
What is it?
No, but you've said it. You've made it.
Oh, yeah.
As on the trip, you've not been calling them Books for Cooks. That's all I'll say.
Let's just say that.
That's my new romance.
Yeah. I'm sure they're lovely. We will be going in and getting our stamp and leaving.
Same with the antiquarian store.
Yeah, because I had a look and they were so expensive. It's like $600 for a book.
The cookbooks.
No, the vintage store, like the antique store. And I am...
Like, no wonder why everyone's using Google.
I am CEO of eBay purchasing
You are.
and vintage books. That stuff was too expensive and looked boring to me.
So we'll see you on Saturday.
Yes. Is it all going to be one video?
Yeah.
Okay. Then for you guys, it's just now.
Okay.
Say hi now.
Hi now. And
No, I was hoping that us now. Like that would be the... It's okay.
I will flick through some B-roll, which I'll remember to take for the next round of bookstores.
my cat. I got a cat recently. This is my daughter. She's so playful. This is Saturn. Say hi. She's biting me.
All you can really see is her eyes.
Yeah, she's biting my foot, and she most likely will be the whole time we're recording.
Yep.
She goes crazy on them toes. Kind of like go chill out.
So we're coming back to give you our our second day wrap up of the global book crawl, which on a very kind of serendipitous note ended up being on Indie Bookstore Day.
Yeah, play. And we went to all 12. We didn't give up like some people and only went to 9. We went to all of them. Are we better than some? Good chance. But it's because we split it over 2 days, which I do think was a good idea.
Absolutely. And as well, a lot of the booksellers were telling people when they were stamping that they only needed to go to 2 readings, and one of them Mary Martin's. I noticed that at the few stores we went to.
Yeah, but we committed, so...
We did. Day 2, we went to 5 bookstores.
We sure did. We started with K Craddock, which was the antique bookstore. Fun vibe.
It was beautiful. Like I imagine if you were going to film a dark academia or something of that ilk in Melbourne, like that would be the perfect location for someone's office because the books were stunning. They even had like short bookcases and they had like a random table set up with bookmarks. It was beautiful. There was a lot of browsing, but there was also a lot of people just like, stamp please.
Yeah, because again, I think we'll get to this at the end, but I do have some pictures for next year. In terms of like some stores that I think should be included. I think there was some missed opportunities with some of the stores, but it was year 1. This felt like a bit of a random choice, honestly.
Yeah, and it definitely felt like it wasn't in the same like financial bracket.
Yeah.
I think there would have been a couple of other secondhand, if that's what they wanted, bookstores in Melbourne that would have been a better fit. But I understand that it's like a kind of staple of
because this was Melbourne. The only bookstore that we went to that while we were there, nobody was buying books.
Yeah.
Like I didn't see anyone buy anything. Which like on one hand it's like, oh, it's still going to be good for the business to like get the promotion. But it's like, is that because you're having more, you're gonna have to have more people on for like all the stamping and like have like excess inventory in case people do buy stuff, but then it's like maybe it wasn't super worth it. But overall, beautiful store. If we had money, maybe a lot of wall books, which I was a little like
it is situated on the Paris end of Collins Street. If you know Melbourne, that's where all the designers live. So I guess it fits in that regard where they're located in the city because like a couple stores up was Cartier, you know, like
it's right next to like the ASOP, so like we know what we're doing.
And when you walk in you get this beautiful like wall case, and I think for me I was like, oh, pretty, and then the price tag was $2,000 and I was like, oh, okay.
Also, another thing to know, I do think it was one of the only stores that wasn't like accessible because you had to go down a flight of stairs to get in,
and there was a massive step. I almost tripped coming out to get into the store
because even there was like a woman with a pram and she had to have like 2 strangers like help her carry the pram down. I was like, that's a little.
And the stairs were not just like a flat, it was like that L shape, so it was a bit hard, which I even found difficult with the amount of people coming in and out of the store to grab their stamp. That it was like a lot of like traffic, but beautiful store
because it's the one closest to Dimmick. So I do feel like that would have been most people's like starting point, just because people go to Dimmick's anyway, and they'll be like, oh, there's a free book thing, let's do it, and then that one's right there. So a lot of people would like walking up, getting their stamp, and then leaving,
and then they were going across to Hill of Content, which was our next step.
Which was our next stop. Now, I like Hill of Content. I think it's very pretty, but I don't know. Like, there's just something about that store.
I mean, for me, and this, I don't know what my brain was doing, but I always thought it was a Christian bookstore. I don't know if it was just like Hill of Content. I don't know if it was the title, but it is beautiful. It is definitely, it's right up from the paperback bookstore, and it has more space than the paperback, for sure.
Yes.
Overall, I did see a book that I'm going to go back for, which is like a Greek myth retelling collection, but I was trying to limit my spending this time around.
We didn't buy as much day 2, just because we bought a lot on day 1.
And I don't know, I just got the curation of the books, and I think I'll talk about this later. It's definitely not my vibe. It was definitely a little bit more litfic focused. They did have some art books, not too many, but it just had that kind of Australian litfic vibe to it.
Yes, very, very, very much.
And also the staff, I don't know if they were just annoyed at being asked the same question a bunch of times, or they hadn't had their coffee. I mean, customer service is rough, so I bet it's rough on like whatever a day, but someone was asking, because I'm not sure if we mentioned it, but if you did all 12 bookstores, you got to hand in your little passport.
Yes, which we will get to that more because we have thought.
And you get to get a free book, which again, we'll get to, but I don't know if they'd been asked that question a number of times, but they were like, we have 2 free books left. And this was Saturday at like midday. So they still had the rest of Saturday and all of Sunday.
And they were closed 2 days. Like they were closed Monday and Friday for public holidays where like other bookstores weren't. So I was like,
yeah.
And then, she kind of just like slammed them on the table. And they're like, these are choices.
And then she was like, go to Dimmicks. And I was like, okay, fair. Yeah, overall, even now, I know it's not a Christian bookstore, but it's just never really been my vibe because the fiction section, well, I didn't get that far in the store, but I don't even think they have a speculative section, or if they do, it's very small.
They might have upstairs. No, because upstairs is like children's books. So I don't know.
Yeah, and
I've never been upstairs in that place though.
I think that's where they have their events and stuff as well. So
okay, yeah.
And then we headed off to Queen Vic Market, which I'm always so surprised at how close it is to the city. I feel like it's like the Docklands and it's a bit far out, but it's not that far at all.
Yeah.
And we went to
Amplify, which was I think the best bookstore like from this experience. Now I've been following Amplify for a while and I bought from them a lot in the past, but before they had their like physical store, it was my first time going there and it was very fun.
It was beautiful. And apart from Dimmicks being a staple, and they're also the biggest bookstore and they have the widest selection, like they're in the basement of a city building, so it's huge. I think Amplify was the absolute standout. It is a bookstore run by 2 women, and their whole ethos and their whole premise of their bookstore is that they only sell authors of color, which is fantastic.
There were so many books. Like, even though it was a smaller location, like it was packed. And they had everything. They had like fiction section, they had a romance section, they had like a kids section, they also had like essays, non-fiction. It was amazing.
They even had a secondhand section as well near the till, which I noticed. And right near the door, they had a shelf, which was part of their fiction section. But I noticed they seemed to collect the most popular people of color authors. You had like James Baldwin there. You had Olivia E. Butler, Haruki Murakami. Like you had, I think, Gabriel Garcia Garcia, I can never say his name, the Hispanic author who writes magical realism, The Thousand Years of Solitude. Like they had all of their work right next to the door, and it was like all sectioned. Like you had all of James Baldwin, and it's still alphabetical, but I thought that was a really good touch because I guess for a lot of people that would be the authors they know.
Also, another shout out, if you're not able to go and store, they have an amazing website, which kind of makes sense if they did that start with the website, but everything is like categorized first of all by like country and like region, but then they also have like a massive like tag directory, which is also almost giving like Tweet vibes in a sense, because they have like literally like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tags, and then you just click on one and then it has like all the books. And I was like, oh my god, that's so fun. Like you can really find comes to everyone.
And then you had a table with their new releases, and then a table with their like staple, like these are our like recommendations.
Yeah, and they have like seasonal displays as well. Like they had one like for Trans Week Visibility, and I know in the past, like based on like during NAIDOC week, they had like a set up for that. So it was big dance. And we also bought books there, which is the only place we bought books from this
And also
week.
they had the cutest stamp. So each
they did. Oh, I wish that's one thing. I wish we got to keep our little stamps. Like I know we had to hand it in for the competition, but they had like a Spirited Away stamp. It was like a little foot spirit.
It's so cute. Like some of them just had like clearly the stamp that they would probably use to stamp envelopes when they're posting stuff out. Dimmicks had like a logoed stamp. Books for Cook had a little ladle. A little ladle or a sieve thing. It was very cute. Yeah. But anyway, let's get on to the books.
So the first book that I got is God's Children, A Little Broken Thing by Arunze Isakandu, which is like a short story collection, which I'm very excited to read. And then, should I do my other one, or do you want to go like back and forth?
What nationality is the author? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, sorry, this is a Nigerian author.
The first book I went for is actually a romance author that I've read from before and I really enjoyed. She writes some very heartbreaking romance. I got Brittany Cherry's The Air He Breathes, which is one of the books in her Elemental series, and got a step back, and it's signed.
What? Oh my god, fine.
And also I noticed this as I was flipping through, it's got like a little note from Brittany Cherry. I love Brittany Cherry. She will make you ugly cry, but then the HEA is totally worth it. So I'm excited to own one of her books.
Love.
Oh, and she is African American.
Amazing. And then the last book that I got is Deviant. It's like a slave cover. It's by an Indian author. Again, like most of the books that I got, it is once again a lipstick. So that's what I like, except for that one like Shane book that I bought on Monday. It's pretty much all lipstick. Which I feel like that always happens whenever we do a book crawl. It's like mostly like sad gays, and then there's just like one like BL. Like this is something on the way home. Yeah, this one's not that graphic. I need to get to see more. Also, my friend is next door, and I know that she's like gonna be insulting me after this. She's in the room next.
Hi, Cleo.
Yeah, hi, Cleo.
And then the next book I got was Watermoon by Samantha Soto Yambo, and it's a new release, and I've just heard that it's got that kind of whimsical, magical vibes of a Studio Ghibli film, which is something I love. And we're following a girl named Hana who runs a pawn shop, and in this world, most people don't know it exists, and if you there on the streets of Tokyo, you see it as a ramen store, but every now and then the people who need to find it will, instead of going into the ramen shop, will enter the pawn shop. It's a place where they can sell their regrets.
Wow.
And then she's just taken over ownership of the store. The first day she's going to run it, her father has been kidnapped. The store is ransacked, and her first customer walks in, and instead of her helping him, he offers to help her find her father. And I've just heard there's things like they go to different worlds through jumping through puddles, and I think it's going to sound really beautiful, lyrical, and kind of have that, you know, Japanese aesthetic, which I'm very excited for. So yeah.
Wow.
And I just noticed both my books are blue. God.
So clock the Abby Lee Dance Company shirt. I know. I know.
And then in typical Melbourne weather, it started raining.
It did start raining. So we went to Books for Cooks. We weren't in there long because it was very busy. And I'm not that much of a cook.
I was actually more impressed with it than I thought, never having really bought many cookbooks because I just use online. They do sell a mix of new cookbooks and out of print cookbooks, and it is packed. They've kind of got these like two rooms at the Vic Gardens at like a
Vic Market,
like a standing Vic Market, sorry, at a standing like location, and there was just books, like cookbooks everywhere. And the sales assistant, he was fantastic. Like someone picked up a book that they'd ordered, and he was going through like asking her about what recipe she was interested in and giving recommendations based on his recipe and giving advice. And the way he was talking about food, we hadn't eaten lunch yet. I was starving.
Yeah, it was good.
And he seemed really lovely.
Yeah, so if you're into cookbook, check it out. And even if you're not, I think it could be fun.
And it's
I also think it'd be like a good housewarming gift.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's right near some of the food. So it's like
it's like you walk out the store and then like the food markets are so they with that. Oh. Yeah. And then finally, we went to our final store, obviously, Mary Martin's in Queen Vic Market. Now, we have a special relationship with Mary Martin's. They see us, we see them.
Yeah.
I will say, this store was cute, very cute. We didn't check it.
It was really cute.
Again, it was raining. And it's like kind of outdoors. Like it almost feels like it's on like a veranda.
It feels like they put a shipping container in a veranda and then open like two sides.
Yeah.
So the store is, it's very beautiful, and I imagine during the summer or even like just a rainy day, it would be great.
Now, this is where we have our discussion. So, as we know, you finish it, you get the final book. Yeah. They had like a box of books that had, I think when we were there, they had like 5 books left in it. You went to reach for a book and someone else took it.
Yeah, they had 2 arcs, and one of them was The Immortal by Sue Lee Tan, which I know it's a very popular book because Fairy Loot did an edition of it, and it's a East Asian YA fantasy. But I didn't grab the book because I thought it would be polite to get my stamp before I grabbed the book, and by the time I came back, it was gone.
Yeah, I got a book which I kind of like, because again, there was like no options. So I, as part of my uni, am writing a article about like Nicki Minaj and pop fandom. I know. I'm breaking boundaries. So I found this book, and I thought it was an academic book. I think it's fiction.
I thought it was
fiction about Kylie Minogue. So, and I don't even like Kylie that much. Like, I'll spin around with the rest of them, but I'm not gagging for Miss Kylie Minogue. So I thought this was like an academic book, and I was like, oh, it'll have good like references for like diva worship, community formation, all this stuff. No, it's like fiction and like personal accounts. So I'm probably going to give this to someone. I need to find an old gay person who likes Kylie, which I do have a few. I'll take it to my supervisor. I'm sure that they'll love it. So yeah. Also, if anyone's in the market for spinning around the Kylie playlist, hit me up.
I thought it was like, I thought it had lyrics and stuff, but I didn't realize it was like art created inspired by Kylie.
Yeah, so like each chapter's like a song, and like people are like writing about, I don't know. Again. Sorry,
well, actually, that might fit with your article. They've written a whole book dedicated to Kylie. Is that not diva worship?
Yeah, but like I'm not looking at Kylie. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like it's just not what I thought it would be, and it feels like a little like okay.
I opted not to get a book because same vibes as what Connor's feeling right now. I was kind of like, like I'm already going through a declutter of my shelves. There's no point me just picking up a book for a book's sake, which it did feel ultimately disappointing. And I found out after we left that Amplify had an amazing selection of books. I just didn't feel right having a free book from Amplify, given that, you know, they're doing such a fantastic job to
and they're the smallest of the bookstores that were included,
and they do such a fantastic like advocacy for authors of color that it felt a little white privilege to take a free book from them.
Yeah. Also, these are the books that I'm reading for the year in our little challenge. I have them in here.
I like that. So overall, I think this is the first year it's run.
In Australia,
I know a lot of people as well, especially on this Saturday, hadn't heard of it. So I'm not sure they hadn't got as much press, marketing, or maybe it was marketing. Maybe it was more so in like the Bookstagram community, but it hadn't gone like
because I only found out about it because I follow my favorite bookstores in Sydney, the Bookshop Darlinghurst. Love you. I don't even want to know how much. I think I checked in like 2021 when I first found it. And I had spent like $1,500 in the first year. I was like,
oh my God. That's like when Jess from the First Chapter Books. Yeah. Jess from the First Chapter Books in our like rep group, they were like, who spent the most money? And then they were like, clocked me and this other girl. And we were like,
yeah. Anyway, they posted about it because they were doing it in Sydney.
Yeah.
So that's when I clicked on it and I saw they were doing it in Melbourne and I messaged Jana.
Yeah. Which I think we only found about like the week before, I think it was. And then
like a couple of days before.
And the booksellers were doing a fantastic job at all the stores being like, oh, did you want this? Like, it's a passport. It's a global book crawl happening at the moment. Like, you can go to these stores. So they were doing a really good job of promoting it. So I really hope it runs next year. So I hope that we get more buzz to it.
And another thing that I like, they were never like, if you just went in for the stamp, they were never like, you're not buying anything. Because like again, there is 12 bookstores. Like we bought a lot, but like we can't buy from everyone. And there's some stores they're not interested in what they are selling for whatever reason, but somebody else would be. But they went like, you didn't buy something?
Yeah, like the ladies at the antiquarian bookstore, like they were so lovely. And I even complimented their book collection. And right next to them, they had like this illustrated set of the Brontes and Jane Austen, which were like, the set was like $3,000 each set. And I was just like, wow, these are beautiful. And they were like, thank you so much. And even the guy from the cookbook store, he was lovely. So yeah, that was fantastic. And I hope we get to see it again next year because it was a lot of fun. And I think planning out the day, and me and Connor do love a book crawl. We do it for the Love Your Bookshop Day.
We do it for tax time.
Tax time. I think
we will be back for our tax time book crawl.
We will. So I think it was fantastic. I think there just needed to be some parameters put in place, or maybe even something like what Aesop does with the queer library.
These are my pitches for the free books. I have a couple. First of all, like as Diana was mentioning, because the event was sponsored by a lot of publishers like Scribe, and Random House, like Booktube. You could do something. Yeah, you could do something like if you're, I don't think it's just in Melbourne, but like Aesop, the soap company for Pride, which they didn't do it this year. Guess they have gay people now. You can get like a free book by like a queer author, and they're supplied by like the publishers. Or I know a couple of times they've worked with like Hyenas, who's a queer bookstore in Melbourne, and they supply them. So you could do something like that. But then I also understand that would be a bit difficult because then you're getting excess stock in.
Yeah.
What I think would be better though is if instead of it's like a free selected book, because it did just feel like it was just up to the individual stores. Because even when we went and got our free book, I got my Kylie Minogue masterpiece and you didn't get anything. The person working there was like, do you want to take it to another store? And then we asked, we're like, can we do that? And she's like, I honestly don't know.
I was like, well, we don't want to like go there. And they're just like, no. So it's like,
Yeah.
and that was the last store. We were already kind of like, it was bucking down rain. We're like, we kind of want to go home now. So we don't want to take it to another store just for them to be like, no, you've already got a stamp here. So like a little more clarity about that would have been nice. But even then, what I think they should do, and this is my pitch, is if you, instead of it being like a free book, you get like a token, it's like $20 or something that can only be used at that store. Or if you want, you could, because I guess it's like that's the last store. It should be something like that. So like $20, you can still get a book, but it's not like you can't get like
or
the Bronte collection. You know, like,
or you can put it towards.
Or
like,
you can put it towards.
Because I think
something like that
this
would be
book is $27. Like you could then get $20 off. And then you're only $8, you're $7.
Yeah, and then a lot of the stores were like, as you mentioned, Hill of Content were like, oh, we only have 2 books left. Where we went Mary Martin, they're like, yeah, we've been having to put books out throughout the days and like we can't keep up with it. I know the actual account posted today that for the last day only Amplify had stuff left. So I think something like that would be easier for the bookstores, so they're not having to like go through their stock to be like, okay, what can we put up for this?
Yeah.
Because then it does also seem kind of like these are just the books that nobody wanted. Y'all can have them. Which again, it's not the point of the event, but the point of the event was to go to all these bookstores. We got a lot of stuff regardless. And we would have done this even if there wasn't the free book. Because again, as we mentioned, we love a book crawl. But I think that's how they were selling it. Because when people were going and they were asking about it, it's like, yeah, you go to all these stores and if you finish it, you get a free book. Like that was the pitch. So for that to be a part of the pitch, I think that part needs a little bit of work. So I think having just like a voucher for the store would be a lot easier. Again, it's the bookstores don't have to worry about keeping that stock fulfilled. The people don't need to worry about being disappointed and not getting anything. You can just be like, oh, sweet, it's my last bookstore. I was going to get this book anyway, you know?
Or if they want to get more input from the publishers, like with Aesop, you give a list and then they can let you know, like maybe you order a certain amount and then that way if you run out, you run out. Like with Aesop, you'd line up and then
if it's like that where it's supplied by the bookstore, they could have like a 13th location where you check in.
Yeah.
And they would have the free books there. Yeah.
And then also you could then have a selection from Amplify, a selection of cookbooks that have been curated by the booksellers from the participating books. So that could be something, you know.
Which like I get that would also be hard because then you'd need to like rent a space. But like I feel like there was some options that if we are going to continue this, because I think we should, because it's amazing. And if that's going to stay like your main pitch, maybe workshop that part.
Because it could then have like an amazing race type feel that you check in and maybe it's at the state library. If it's a nice day, you can just put a tent up or even you go to Fair Square and that way you're getting people like moving throughout the city. And then if it is at the bookstore itself, like, you know, I'm sure Amplify would reach out to their publishers and only recommend, you know, books from people of color, which they do stock. You know, Cooks for Books would do just their cookbook selection. Like these publishers that were involved, like Penguin Random House, Hachette, Penn Macmillan. We had Allen and Unwin, who's a big publisher in Australia, but they do have a wide selection. So there could have been stuff for each, but I get the vibe from the whole event was really exciting and really buzzy. And even the booksellers were like, oh my God, we didn't know how this was going to take off. So I understand there being like a little bit of unsure, but I think moving forward, that would be a really, really good idea. Either of those options.
And now I'm going to pitch some bookstores that I think should be
next year. Before we continue, I just wanted to say that when you looked at Sydney, I know you looked at the Sydney one, there was less stores because their stores were branched out a bit more. So we could either, like I have a few recommendations that I think would be fantastic to include. They aren't necessarily Melbourne CBD located, but I think they're still not that far out that you could include them, and maybe it's something like do one of the out of CBD stores, you know, that kind of thing. Or if we're doing like super central, Melbourne has got so many bookstores. We're very lucky. But yes, sorry.
And also if you're watching and you are from Melbourne and you did the book tour and want to find more bookstores, take my recommendation.
Absolutely. So yes, your first...
Metropolis number one because it's so central. If you've been to like Rooftop Bar on Swanston, it's in that same building. It's very fun. Again, a lot of art books. The Curtain. Yeah, that's the Curtain House, isn't it? The Top in Town is in there, but it's the Curtain House is like the building. Yeah. Very fun. I think Asphalt Books is amazing. It's like a secondhand bookstore. It's in the Nicholas building across from Flinders. I think they're still there. Yeah. It's been a couple of years since I've checked in, but I'm pretty sure they're still there. You could do Basement City, but like that is very intense, that store. It's not to say
It is
a
very...
Basement City book. I don't like it personally. I think fun vibes, but I feel claustrophobic.
I love Basement City books. It's like paperback books vibes, but like 5 times the size. And it's all secondhand.
Yeah. And then my biggest pitch, which if they're listening, clock in. Because I think this would be great for kids to get kids into reading. So I love that we had reading kids and all the other bookstores had like the children's section. But also they need to do All-Star Comics.
Yeah.
All-Star Comics, shout out, the best comic book store in Melbourne. Argue with someone else.
100%.
They're so sweet and kind in there. And I think it would be so fun. And also, every time I've been there and I bought something, they'd be like, oh, you're reading like Batman? Oh, have like this like free like one shot. And I was just like, oh, love it. Thank you so much.
And I've been there with Connor and I will pick up my Lore Olympus graphic novels. So comics and graphic novels are their wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, as someone who's not in the comic book world, it can seem very overwhelming and some people can seem quite elitist in that space, but they are single-handedly the nicest people ever. And they just get so excited that people are reading comics and they've got recommendations galore.
Well, I got going to comic books I think 2017. I was very overwhelmed because there's like so much. Just read it. You don't need to worry that much about can't read every Batman issue. And there's been so many represses and reruns and restart. So just find a series that you think is interesting and just start from that. Because there's not that much context that you need. Comic books are very explanatory and very so much exposition to go along with the visual. So you'll get it. So I know one of my favorite is Nightwing, and I was like, I need to start from the first Nightwing issue ever. And I was like, you really don't, because even in the current issue, I think they're up to 120 or something. But through that, there've been different writers who have taken the lead. So you can just I started with Tom Taylor's run because love him, bestie icon. So yeah, even though I haven't read the start of that run, I've read all of his run, and it's that is a complete story. That's my little pitch if you're thinking about getting into comic books. They also have the apps, which are really good. The Marvel Unlimited app and the DC Infinite app, they're very, very good. You can read them on your phone, or your iPad. And they always have events.
Does All-Star do manga?
They do have a manga section as well, yeah. So yeah, All-Star's my rant's over. Other stores outside of the CBD, obviously have to shout out Hares and Hyenas once again in St Kilda. I would say Avenue, Richmond, gorgeous bookstore.
Also, if you're wanting to, just for logistics wise, Avenue does have another location in Albert Park, which is on the kind of similar way to St Kilda. So that could be your if you're trying to map a crawl, you could then put Avenue. You could put both, you could say you could then go to Avenue and then go off to Hares and Hyenas.
Perimeter book, which mostly do non-fiction design book. Gorge store. Brunswick Bound. It's in Brunswick.
Brunswick Bound is amazing. Yeah.
Brunswick Bound is so good. So yeah, there's so many. You got any down?
You pretty much took all of mine. But yeah, I think for next time, maybe the antiquarian bookstore might not be a good fit, but I think if you replace it with Metropolis has a higher price point. If you're wanting secondhand, you could go Asphalt, but if you're wanting something at maybe a higher price point, Metropolis is beautiful. They do a lot of art and design books. Also, just wanted to say with, I guess, the whole support your indie bookstore day and Amazon also deciding to do a book sale on this very same day.
That's absolutely diabolical. Shame.
You can't help but feel is absolutely targeted. There is something about this whole experience where the reason why bookstores exist is because of the booksellers. They have complete control over the curation of their list. I knew that the Hill of Content wasn't necessarily going to be my vibe, just because they do have a lot of a lit fic Australiana bent to it, which isn't something that I read a lot of. But then you've got Amplify, who is there supporting marginalized authors and people of color. That's fantastic that they've got an entire bookstore dedicated to that. And even Books for Cooks, their whole bookstore full of cookbooks. They
Readings Carlton has a massive non-fiction section, which I think largest of most of the stores we went to, and a lot of cultural studies books and philosophy books.
The mix would probably be about half and half, because you've got the big fiction section and then you've got the kids section at the corner. So the way it's kind of split up, it's probably roughly half and half. But yeah, Carlton, there's only one little alleyway of fiction and the rest of the store is non-fiction.
Yeah.
It probably helps that they've got the secondary store for kids books because they've taken that. Yeah.
Yeah, they've taken the YA and stuff out. Also, you guys are going to be so proud of me. I'm on Down's channel, obviously. Oh, I bought a romance book, you guys.
Yes, I'm
So
actually.
I'll keep you updated. Yeah.
And it's by an Australian author as well. So a queer Australian author, and he also writes body diversity in his books as well, which sounds amazing.
So I'll check in next time, but I just want to let you guys know because we're best friends now, obviously. And I know I've come for the romance community a little bit. I take it all back. I'm a part of it. I have read 4 romance books before, so I am kind of like an expert now.
This will be your first contemporary romance, though.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah,
that is exciting.
Should we hold up all our books?
Yes. Let me go find
like a full haul.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Okay. So this is our overall haul.
Yep.
How many books did you get?
9.
8. I got 8. This is our haul. And now we're going to give some superlatives for the bookstores. Just for fun. I would say prettiest store I would need to give to Kay Craddock because it was gorgeous.
Absolutely. And it just had such a calming vibe. Like, I don't know, it was just, you just walked in off the city street and it was in this old building and it's got all these old books. Even though there was a lot of books, I felt like it was spaced out really well. There was like freedom to move around. There was like different levels.
There was like chaise lounges and like so cute. It was
aesthetic as hell.
I would say best selection I would give to Amplify. No, it was like one of the smallest stores. All hits.
I will say the most active on social media and promoting it had to go to Mary Martin. They were constantly
and also best customer service. Like everyone was lovely everywhere, but they were so like into it.
Yeah, I would say best game would be Dimmicks, and the fact that they had like a little game to get your 20% off, which I thought was a fun touch to do. And I know it was for the book crawl, but if you did the quiz and you weren't interested in the book crawl, you still got your 20% off. And they spaced it out so you moved around the store. I think they know that a lot of people, if they're heavily fiction readers, are going straight to the fiction section, but it also helped with the traffic control as well.
Yeah, because people were moving around. Yeah. And then favorite bookstagrammer, What's the Roses? Feel better clock in.
I'd probably say like one of the most like knowledgeable booksellers I felt was Books for Cooks, because that man just knew everything and just seemed to like passion for the craft, like, and the fact that like knew exactly what book she'd ordered and was like throwing recipes. So I think that was probably like the most knowledgeable.
Yeah, well, this was so much fun. I'm excited to see if we do it again next year. Maybe not on Easter time, but hey, I liked that it lined up with the bookstore day, so that was fun.
Yeah, I think that's what they were aiming for, but they'll just have to watch out for Easter next year. And I'm hoping we get to see more stores and would like to see more bookstores included. Like, I can't imagine that there's anything wrong with including more, as long as you say like go to 9 of the however many.
Yeah.
Obviously they had 4 readings, like maybe you don't need to put all 4 readings and just put readings, and whichever location you do go to counts as a stamp. So that way you could still have 12 by adding in like Metropolis, adding in All Star Comics, maybe one of the secondhand bookstores in the city, and then if you wanted to go to one of the inner suburb cities like Brunswick Bound, Hares and Hyena, the Avenue. I mean, I think it's a fun idea that you brought, that they have like a Amazing Race check-in style pop-up location.
I think that'd be fun.
That's all from us. So
thank you for coming along with our journey. I hope you had fun. Let us know what books you got. You got one?
Yes.
And leave us a globe emoji in the comments.
I love that. Yeah. Or you can let us know your favorite bookstore in Melbourne is, or your favorite
just in general. If we got some international divas out there, let us know. We love to support independent bookstores.
Absolutely. That is all from us today, guys. Linked in the description box below will be links to all the bookstores, the global book crawl details, links to my social media channels if you'd like to talk to me or follow me on any other corner of the internet. Anyway, that is it for us today, guys. Hope you're doing all kinds of well, and we'll speak to you soon. See ya.
Bye.